Hey, what up? It's New Age Ja, and welcome back to Mystical Illuminations. Today I have a message for you in regards to perpetual fear that suppresses your ability and causes procrastination on your behalf and on your end. See, a lot of us are paralyzed by fear, by the thought of being exposed, by the thought of failing and not being enough, being judged. This fear, this anxiety, if you would, will be the crippling factor of your destiny and your natural ability. See, where our gift lies, or where our gift lies, is only found upon the path of Pluto, upon the path of destruction. Every single one of us has this deep intrinsic fear of being exposed. There's a trickling, crippling amount of shame somewhere, somehow, and a lot of us are too afraid to surpass it. See, life is a risk, and sometimes that entails being exposed or facing exposure. What do you mean by exposure? What do you mean by being exposed? Well, everyone and everything is going to have an opinion or not of what the other is or not. So in order to bring ourself into greater existence, into greater life, we must encounter that dark shame and fear and push through the burning sensations of anxiety. I know you have an idea in your head, a thought in your mind, and you haven't yet acted on it because you're anxious. It's not quite time. It's not quite time. It's not going to be perfect enough. It's not perfect enough. Well, believe it or not, the time is never perfect enough. I mean, you can rehearse for a play 12 times and still fall on your face. It doesn't excuse you from doing the practice and the work, but sometimes you just need to push yourself off the edge and into the fear and into the unknown and into the thought of being exposed. Exposure of your fears, of what you're shameful, what you did wrong, your inadequacies. Do you not feel lovable mostly? Do you not feel lovable mostly? And the ones who told us they would love us, they didn't. Do you not feel lovable? Do you have fear of being exposed? See, this is the thing, is that every single one of us has something that we are ashamed of, that we are afraid of. And to us, they may seem like mountains, and to others, they may appear to be molehills. We have to learn how to face our mountains and to be brave enough to stand on the mountain top, whether the sun is rising or whether the sun is setting. The light will shine upon your shadows eventually. And if you don't allow the light to do so by putting yourself in a position of visibility, if you would, then your fears and your shame will cripple you and eat you and torment you. Sometimes we just have to psych ourselves out and figure out a way to make it all right. A lot of us have clung to relationships and people, thinking that they were going to be the ones that would validate us, that would claim us and make us feel seen, heard, and like we had something to offer. I mean, I know I have something to offer. I know there's something to offer, and this person can see it. Well, just because they can see it doesn't mean that they're going to acknowledge you. And it doesn't mean that they have to. But that person saw me. I know they saw me. They said they saw me. They saw me. Now I just need them to say it again and again so that other people can know that I'm valid and that I have something to offer. Listen, when you hand over that much power to someone and this person isn't completely evolved, the simple fact that they can withdraw or withhold their sense of power, entitlement, recognition from you is a deep-rooted insecurity and an opportunity to stand. See, you didn't know that whole time that you were begging and crawling and tugging on the shoelaces or the shoestrings or the pant legs or the sweater, hanging on from the sweater from the arm. Acknowledge me. I don't want to acknowledge you. I don't have to acknowledge you. Now get up off me. What kind of shit is that? I don't have to acknowledge you. Now get up off me. If the person's energy is speaking to you in this way, hold on a minute. If the person's energy is speaking to you this way, get up off of your feet. The power is intoxicating and you're giving them too much. They don't know what to do with it other to reject it. But then also relish in the thought that they have some kind of control over you. You dropped a bomb on me, baby. You dropped a bomb on me. You've given them so much power and it's intoxicating. Seems like a long walk to even pick ourselves off of our knees, off of our feet. Pick up our face off the ground, because we'd first have to admit that we have lowered ourselves to the expectations that we knew we weren't, but yet we were all those things all along. I can't believe that I just showed you my darkness. I can't believe I just showed you my insecurities and my shame, and I've allowed myself to fall at your feet. And you can't even begin to give me the life back, the light back. Oh, girl, man, if you have to drop your shadows, drop them, but be prepared to leave them behind. And that requires a little bit of your acknowledgement and see what it is that has been hurting you and eating you from deep within. I've been so insecure this whole time. I've been so weak this whole time. Let me lay this burden at your feet. And then we're surprised when that person wants nothing to do with the darkness. You're lucky that they even gave you their time. Yeah, right. They're lucky for meeting me. They're lucky. So you thought. Anyways. So I'm not sure who you are or where you are. But it's time to get up on your feet. Off your feet. Which one is it? Have you been running? Have you been running too hard? Have you been planted too long? It's time to rise up and acknowledge that you've lost. Acknowledge that you've been desperado. Let's pull a couple cards. What other, here we go. What do we got here? Knight of Pentacles. Slow and steady wins the race. But also solid planning and solid step forwards, right, is required. I mean, this horse isn't really going anywhere. But the intention is set. The idea is in place. The map is written. And although we have been a little stagnant, maybe not going anywhere, a sure foot will make its way. Get back up on your horse and prepare for a new way. Get back up on your horse and prepare for a new way. You've dropped your burdens at the feet of another. Be grateful enough that they even let you bother. But they told me they saw my light. And the darkness was revealed right after you. 5 of Swords. Mental conflict. Competition in ideas. Some sour words left unsaid, said. Battles are better left unwon. Then again, we have clearing the air of mental conflict. Whoever is sleeping in your head, in your heart, rent-free, cut those mother suckers off. And be a little smug about it too. Don't be afraid to acknowledge where your mind was so crossed, where your mind was so fast and sharp and angry that you couldn't even see how you were hurting yourself the whole time. Not only were you fighting a battle that you thought you could win, you were hurting yourself and the other by keeping them tethered at your whim. Release the other of the friction. Release the other of the problem. Get back up on your horse, I say. Oops. Okay. Do we pull these? Do we pick them up, I should say? Okay. We have the 6 of Pentacles and the Page of Swords. So a lot of us might begin to feel a little guilt in regards to holding on to someone a little too long, to the point of breaking up, the point of separation, to the point of discord, disagreements, arguments, making one or another uncomfortable. When you get yourself back up and you are able to see it for what it really is, and that maybe all of that fighting and churning was futile and no good, although you couldn't quite see while you were in it. I mean, the skies were muddled. And now you might feel a little bit of guilt and shame, and you need to figure out a way how to make it back up to this person or this thing. And you're thinking about all kinds of ways of how you can help, give back. I mean, I can make this right. I know I can. But it is this very thought that becomes your enemy, for the damage is already done. And there's nothing that we can do to retrieve the pain. The best way for you to make things right is for you to plan to move forward and to rebalance and rectify life as you move on. See, the very act of you staying in place makes the scale tip further and further and further. And you're trying your hardest, hoping and praying that the more you stay, that eventually the scales will rebalance and readjust. This is not the matter. Once you begin to move step by step, or at least have a vision in mind and plan, the scales will begin to adjust on their very own, naturally. Is that you on your knees again? Is that you on your knees again? Get up on your horsey. Where are you? So yeah, that's just a little short message that I had for you today. And your mind can be your worst enemy. You know, your mind could be your worst enemy. Learn to discern the messages of your mind. This is a page. This is a lower, immature, childlike wonderment, curiosity, the messenger, the one who's a little nosy, who must know. And this need to know, this curiosity is really no good. It's not getting you very, very far. Time to rebalance the scales, and it doesn't mean that what you have to do is give even more. Don't even offer a peace treaty. Let life handle it. It will naturally rebalance. It will naturally come into its place. Okay? Do I pull a moon card or an astral card? Black moon Lilith oracle card. Let's see. Let's pull one. Let's end this off. I mean, I know it's not the brightest, lightest message, but I know that it is one that needs to be heard sometimes. And I really hope and pray that this message finds you in time, and that you're able to empower your spirit and see where our own demons are being reflected upon another's feet. Don't be afraid of being exposed, or the exposure of your soul. We all have to over-divulge sometimes, and with the person with whom we do this with is a blessing in disguise, even if ultimately they turn in rejection. See, either they've become smug with the power you have given, or with enough time you have in turn opened or awakened the wounds within their own minds. And now they can't just deal with you at this time. It's time for them to now go on their journey. And so that very act of trusting and divulging has set the tone and balance. But the longer you stay, again, the scales begin to tip. So we have Gemini here, I think. And then we have the Page of Swords and the Five of Swords. So there's a lot of mental energy here. And there's a lot of skill that you possess. And a lot of natural talent and knowledge that you have. And it's time that you speak on it. And if there's a natural skill, I mean, it's time for you to monetize it. Here we go. Here we see someone bartering. And so there's a skill that you possess that is logical in nature, air, Gemini, changeable in nature, meaning you can take this gift and skill and use it in many settings. It's valuable in multiple different fields and can get you by at the drop of a hat. It's time that you apply these skills and learn to value what it is that you have to offer now on your own. Talking with a friend is always great. So networking, sharing your ideas. I mean, maybe you don't want to share your ideas with another. I mean, because we have the Page of Swords, the spy, and then the Five of Swords, some conflict and competition. So, I mean, ask around, see what people like. And if you're afraid to get direct opinion, figure out a way to get it. You know what I mean? But don't be afraid to try and offer these services and put them into good use. So with that being said, I hope you guys have an amazing week. Maybe I'll pop by later on. Maybe I won't. I don't know. It's getting humid out here. I mean, it's raining, and so my hair is doing whatever it wants, and so let it be. Until next time, later.